Hey everyone, my name is Dries Vins, and you might know me as one of the core Laravel maintainers. I'm mostly working on the open source projects each day, and what I'm mostly focused on during the day is handling issues, helping people out, and just making sure that open source projects stay fresh. So what I thought today was might be interesting because like a lot of people are wondering like how much work it is to maintain large open source projects like Laravel, Cashier, Horizon, and such like that. And it's mainly me doing the issues with the help from some awesome community members as well who pitch in now and then. So I thought it would be cool to do like a screen recording of how that's done actually, like actually me going through the issues and checking out what how I can help, how we can keep the libraries fresh and clean. I'm recording this with my AirPods, so the sound quality might not be super well. Sorry about that. I don't have any professional recording material here. But I hope it will be okay. So let's check out how I handle these things each and every day. So what I do mostly is going to the notification screen on GitHub. I don't have any email notifications enabled for GitHub because I did it in the beginning when I first joined Laravel, but that was quickly like going nowhere. Getting like all my other emails would get lost inside the flood of notifications that a framework like Laravel is giving me. So I'm just mainly using the notification dashboard by GitHub, which is pretty cool actually. It's just gives me a really nice overview of what issues are still open, which issues got new replies, or where I got mentioned. Um, so the first thing you might notice here is like the issue count here. These are all the issues I still need to check. I have to say, like, this is not a typical day. Like, usually I work mostly Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. And usually there's like not much time in between the issues. There aren't like this amount of issues every day. And even like the counter this morning was like I think like 130 issues. So that's a bit unrealistic for me every day. But it was mainly because of the fact like I attended a Laravel Live conference in London last couple of days. So I've been away for like five days or something. So 130 issues in 5 days. That's still quite a lot. I guess people have been active over the weekend a lot. As you can see, I already did most of the other libraries like Horizon, Passport, and such. There's one Dusk issue that popped up here, which I'll check in a bit. I probably won't be doing every issue on this recording because that would be just like too much for today. I'll probably be gone in for a few hours if I record that. So I'm just going to like do a few ones now, so you can get a grips of like how it is to maintain an open source project like Laravel and how that's being handled behind the scenes. So you can see like I'm on the second page right now here for the issues of the framework. I already clicked some of them open. I usually try to go through each issue, even the ones that are closed, because like sometimes people reply to them asking for more help. I try to pitch in if I can. I usually don't do that often because it's better if like if something like recurs and it really needs attention that you just open up a new issue. So it's like more easier to follow alongside also for the people who are watching the repository. So yeah, that like replying to a closed issue usually doesn't get as much attention as opening up a new one. But when you try to open up a new issue, do remember that there are issue templates that you need to fill out. And actually, let's go check out that first because that might be something nice as well for you to follow. So when you have the issue tracker on the Laravel framework and every single other open source library of Laravel has this. You might want to like open up a new issue to to post your bug or the thing you're encountering. And the first thing you'll notice is this screen. So you have a couple of options here. If it's a bug report, you'll of course can post to this issue tracker. Do please note this thing. This is something that a lot of people miss. Please go to this link first to check out if your Laravel version that you're using is still supported by us, because we drop support for our old versions rather quickly, because it's just not feasible for us to maintain those old versions as well. They don't get any bug fixes after certain dates, and or even not security fixes after certain dates, because it's just impossible for us to keep updating those old versions. You should try to focus on upgrading to the latest one as soon as possible. For the framework one, we have bug fixes until certain dates and security fixes until certain dates. But please remember that for Lumen and all the other open source libraries, when a new major release version is released, we drop support for bug fixes of the old ones immediately. So please keep that in mind when posting issues, and try to keep up with the newest versions. It's important for the health of your software, and just to like get support and stuff like that. So back to this screen. So when you open up a new bug report, the first thing you'll see is like this issue template. And some people tend to do this and just post whatever they want to post. Please don't do that. The issue template is there for a reason. Please try to fill out the versions here, the database driver you're using, the version, and please try to do the patch version as well, because it's super important to know in which exact version you're working on, so we can pinpoint the problem you're experiencing better. Try to give it a descriptive title, but please don't try to make an entire paragraph out of it. Keep it short, keep it under 50 characters, just like you do on GitHub commits. And please try to be as descriptive as possible. Try to add a description of the issue you're encountering here, and try to provide enough steps to reproduce the problem. Please keep in mind that more info is better, but also keep in mind, don't start off writing a book, because if this issue is tons and tons of paragraphs for me to read through, it's super hard to process all of that. Try to stay concise to the issue itself. Please try to provide enough code to reproduce the problem. That always helps a lot. And just keep it straight to the topic, so I can help you out as much as possible, or other community members can help you out as good as possible. All right, back to the issue template screen. So there's a couple of other options you have. First of all, there's a support question. So if the issue you're encountering isn't exactly bug, but you're kind of trying to figure out what you're trying to how you're trying to use something, or you're not sure if it's a bug or if it's actual behavior, the best thing for you to do is just use a support channel. The thing you'll notice that you'll get here is a message that says please try to use the forums, Slack, Discord, or Stack Overflow. Because if we would have to process all of those things as well, my daytime job would consist of only that. And I just that's impossible for us to maintain. There's we have a really big community which is very friendly, which will help you out on forums on Slack or Discord or whatever. And just try that channel first. Even if it's a bug, it's a good idea to try out those support channels first, because usually when you post a bug, it's not really a bug at all. You maybe understood how something works, or something is already fixed, but you haven't updated to the latest version yet. It's always a good idea to first, in every single situation, try out the support channel first, and then come to the issue tracker. Then there's the feature request option. So for this, you probably want to submit to the IDs repository of these sorts of things, because the issue tracker on the framework is only for posting issues. You could like ping Taylor on Laravel Discord's internal channel to have a chat with him about an idea you might have. But please try to post Laravel features you would like to see in the framework on the IDs repo first. That being said, on all the other uh, repositories, we do accept feature requests in the issue tracker. So I usually try to mark those with enhancements. Like it's an easy way to keep track of all the features in one place. The reason why we aren't doing that for the framework is because like the issue tracker is massive. Like there's a lot more issues there because the library is like, of course, being used a lot more than the individual open source repositories. So we try like not to post a feature request there as well because it would like just be unmanageable for us to go through all of those. The IDs repo is as you can see, like fairly massive as well, 600 open ideas at the moment. So it's best to like post here, get support for your ID first, like discuss it with our community members, and then submit the pull request to the framework if it's a valid ID. Then the fourth option is documentation issue. We have a separate repository for that. Just use that one. We don't have issues open for the documentation issues, and the reason for that is because usually when you have an issue with the documentation, it's something you can fairly add yourself. Just submit a pull request. Just quickly add the ID you have in a paragraph or to the document you're trying to update, and Taylor will probably merge it in, do some formatting, or ask you to do some modifications and submit again. The last one is security vulnerability thing. Please do not open bug reports for that or issues with security vulnerabilities. Please always try to email Taylor himself about those, because if you report a vulnerability, hackers or attackers might discover those on a public channel and might immediately attempt to exploit those. So please try to email to Taylor about these and not post them on the public forums. Okay, so I guess that's it. Like these templates are across all different open source repositories. Please keep in mind that the framework issue trackers only for bug reports, and always try to fill in the issue template that goes with it. Okay, so that was quite a lot. Let's get back to maintaining issues. What I usually do, like I said, like I go to the notifications overview, I check out which issues are open, and I just go through them one by one. And I start off with the oldest one first because those are um, like uh, like the ones who are waiting the longest, of course. And let's just try to do that. I'll probably try to tackle like 10 or so you can get a glimpse of like how I handle those. And you might get a better understanding like what's the general gist about maintaining issues on such a large form. So first one here, let's see what's it about. It's a validation issue. I already labeled it as more info, so I probably asked for a little bit more info. There's a lot of info here already, so that's pretty good. Like the person already filled in the template well enough, and he also provided quite a bit of info to go by that. So let's go through here. I said like we don't support this issue this version anymore because he reported it as 5.6, and that just falls out of the supported versions. Then he replied via, okay, I tested it on 5.8. It's a problem still exists, which is of course the reason why I reopened it. I gave some feedback here. He replied a little bit more. Then I asked if he could like submit a pull request to. He said like I'm not sure if it's like a real bug or anything. He replied like, okay, I'll send in a pull request. Here's a pull request he sent in. Let's take like a small look at what this happens. Okay, so What the person did here, and this is also a good thing to mention, he referenced an issue in the pull request he made. But when you submit a pull request, and we have templates for those as well, it's important to know that when you submit a pull request, I can't get it here, probably because I don't have any code to diff, but I'll just go to the pull request template directory real quick. Let's see what it says. My connection is a little bit slow, sorry about that. Okay, here it is. So when you submit a pull request, there are a couple of things you need to know. First of all, only send pull requests to versions we support, of course. The other ones are end of life, and we probably won't be accepting pull requests for them. Make sure you're sending to the correct branch. There's like info in the contributions documentation as well to which branch you need to send. And it basically boils down to, if you're doing breaking changes, send it to the master branch. So it's in the next release and not in the current release. So we aren't breaking people's apps when we're doing updates for current releases. If it's a new feature you want to get in that doesn't contain new breaking changes, please send it to the current release. Or bug fixes can be sent to the current release as well. It's not necessarily if you're doing new features or bug fixes and you send them into the current release to also send them into the master branch for the next release, because we merge in the current release branch into the master branch fairly often. So don't worry about that. They'll be shipped. Those will be shipped with the next version as well. Just send them into the current release one. Then, of course, provide a descriptive title, thorough descriptions, and tests, because tests usually verifies whenever something breaks that the bug is fixed and that it won't reoccur again. And a thorough description means like actually in the pull request comment, and don't link to a separate issue, because it's like not like if Taylor would have to like go to this link and process, it's actually this one, I think, and process everything that's being said here, like it's just too much for him to do that. It would take up way too much of his time. Just provide an issue, a thorough description here, what the pull request fixes. You definitely link to the issue, but definitely be very descriptive in your comment as well. So Taylor explained that. Please provide thorough explanation and tests. And I tried to explain that to him as well, which I just did to you. Okay, let's get back to the issue. So Hinkle here, he comments fairly often on the issues as well. Really thankful for people like him helping out on these issues. Because if it would be just me, like things wouldn't move along that fast without the help of the amazing community members we have. Let's see what he says here. Perhaps a quick example for the maintainers. Yeah, basically the same thing that we said in the pull request. Then T3GN is supplied here. It might not be a problem depending on look at it. Okay, so he's like explaining a little bit that he thinks there's like a different solution to this one. Okay, like you can see, like there's a lot of things in this reply. Like it's quite a lot of text. It's pretty extensive, which is nice of the person replying. I'm really thankful for him on that. But because it's so long, like it's hard to like read through all of that. As you can see, like the issue is getting like quite long already. It's hard to like process that amount of info every single time I come back to it, because it's also impossible for me to like when was the issue posted, like 20 days ago. It's impossible for me to like remember everything that was being said in this issue. So every single time I come back to this, I have to process all of the data I can to know exactly what this was about, how it should be fixed, like what the actual problem is, what the details are. And it's just impossible for me to like do that every single time I come back to it. So what I usually do is I notice that it's not like super urgent, there aren't like tons of people posting about this. It's just this one person experiencing this. I usually tend to let the conversation go through with other people and let them try to see if they can figure the stuff out that's happening. And it usually works. People actually conversating with each other what the problem is and submitting pull requests or figuring out that it isn't a bug in the end. And they usually get to figure things out without me having to step in at all. And that really helps a lot for me to maintain stuff like that. So in this case, the person here replied with a lot of info as well. The original issuer said thank you for a detailed explanation. He said I'm currently on vacation. I'll try to submit a pull request later on. And he did, I think. Let's see what this is about. So he submitted a new pull request. The issue description is a little bit too few already. He did submit to the master branch because there's probably breaking changes in this. I can already see he's changing the behavior here a little bit, so that's probably going to be a breaking change here. So the master branch is probably the correct branch for this. Oh, let's come back real quick. He's already pointing out to the issue and the other pull request he opened. That's good. And the most important thing he did was add a test that validates the behavior. That's very good. This is a very good pull request. The description might be a little bit better because I'm not sure if it's going to be enough for Taylor to understand what the actual issue is about, but we'll see what happens later on. So because this issue already got a pull request, I'm just going to leave it as this and see what happens, and just move on to the other things. But because, remember, I still have 62 notifications to go through, which is quite a lot. And if I'd spent this amount of attention to each issue every single time, I wouldn't see the end of it. I still have work on other stuff, I'm currently working on Cashier, getting the new version V10 prepped. So I really need to get going through these issues. Let's go to the next issue in our line. Is someone posting about a 5.7 issue, and like we said before, we don't support 5.7 anymore. I can see here Lawrence already replied that 5.7 is no longer supported and he needs to upgrade to 5.8 to see if the problem continues. The person replied that the problem also exists in 5.6, which isn't actually replying to what Lawrence said, but I guess he doesn't really understand that we don't support these old issues. So I usually tend to not reply to these issues at all because it was already made clear that we don't support these. But what I'm going to do now real quick is just point them out to the support policy, which I might have missed in the issue template, and just try to point him in the right direction so he really knows that we don't support those old versions anymore. So let me write out the reply real quick here. Might reply something like this. Five and 7 anymore. Please refer to know which versions we still support. So I hope I've made it clear that he knows where to go to know which versions we still support. As for the issue itself, I have to admit I don't look at it at all because it's just not worth my time, to be frank. There's so much stuff I still need to look at, and I can't really be bothered with looking at older versions. It's a bit sucky for people stuck on those, but like I said, we have a really large community tryout of support for channels. There's Slack, there's Discord, there's the forums. Try it there. People are still helping out with older versions there. But we as maintainers, we're just with 3 people right now. It's just me on the open source projects. We really need to have our focus on the versions we need to support. Okay, I'm gonna close out this one. I'm gonna check in on the next open issue. So This is also a 5.7 issue, but as you can see, it was reported on February 1st, so 5.8 wasn't out there. I don't close issues from older versions, which were reported at the time that they were still supported. And the reason because that is because those issues can still are probably still valid ones for the current releases as well. So let's see here. I already asked for more info on this issue. Let me scan real quick through this to know what it's about. Okay, so we added some reproduction steps. Asked for some more info here. And here's someone replying with just tested it with 5.7, used the code snippet from above. Here's a full control code. Okay, so there's quite a lot of info here already to reproduce the issue and to see like what it's about. And I usually try to try this out, like the code they posted and the test app. And I'm probably going to do that later as well. So what I'm going to do here, I see I'm going to look at this unfinished issue. It's here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to save this for later. So it like enters here my save for later queue, so I can check in on that in a bit. But I usually like don't do that immediately because I first want to go through all of the issues that are open to at least give all of them a little bit of attention before I dive into that. And then after I've done that, I'm going back to the save later queue to revisit those issues that might need attention now or should get help later on. But I'm just not going to do it now because like it would just take up way too much time, probably on this recording as well, and it just wouldn't be like super interesting for you guys. Let's go to the next issue. Okay, so this is a 5.7 issue again, some one which we don't support anymore. I see like a lot of people are already replying, like MFN, who's all, or also Marcus, who's all also are like a really big help out there with the framework. Thanks, Marcus, for always replying with your thoughtful answers. And he says like you can reproduce it on a 5.8. The original maintainer was post was WV. Maybe that's the case. I'm just going to like say like, oh, sorry, we don't support this version anymore. He didn't really mention that he tried it out on a 5.8 version, so I'm just going to say like, sorry, we don't support this version anymore. The thing to note here is that even though I closed the issue because I said like we don't support this issue version anymore, the issue is still open. So like, don't take a closed issue as a hard stop. Like, feel free to reply to the issue, discuss it with other people maintaining it. Don't take it as like you aren't welcome here anymore. I know like a red sign usually scares people off, but please feel free to reply on this. I really don't mind. Like, just continue. The only time when we're going to actually lock the issue is when like things get out of hand, like people are replying on it way too much and it's basically becoming a sport forum. Then we might step in and lock the issue because notifications about that just isn't helping anyone. Um, as you can see, I posted like a like a saved reply, and I have quite a bit of those, which help me out, like just replying in a more quicker way than me having to type out all of this every single time. It feels a little bit impersonal, I have to admit that, and I actually feel kind of bad because I have to like use these saved replies a little bit. But again, there's still so many issues I need to go through. It just like it would like take up so much time if I have to do that every single time. Please don't feel angry because of that. I actually feel kind of bad because I have to do this, but it's the only way that really helps me get through all of this real quickly and get to the next person who might need my help. So yeah, let's go to the next one. So this is a 5.8 issue, which is a valid one, of course. He posted the patch releases, which is really good. He posted the MySQL version he's using. And he has like a certain issue he needs to take care of. So what is he basically saying? He's saying like request URL segments are not available while unit testing. Let me see real quick if I know this out of the top of my head. He knows use it segments, but doesn't. So this is actually a really good issue. He gave a really fair, good description of the issue. He gave the steps to reproduce it. He actually gave some other really interesting steps to reproduce the issue. So again, what I'm going to do here, like this might seem something I need to reproduce and actually check in on. So I'm going to go back to the issue at hand, put that in my save for later queue as well. And after I went through all of the issues from today, I'm going to check in on that to see if I can help him out. But like not at this moment, but because again, if I would have to do that right now, I would just waste your time a little bit more. But I'm definitely going to check in on that to see if I can help him. Okay, so the next issue is also a 5.8 issue, not the latest version apparently, but still a 5.8. Two migrations from path that contain special chars. Let me see real quick. So what he's trying to do, it seems so, is have some special characters in his, like spaces apparently. Let me check in real quick. Special characters, what's that about? Okay, so this might not like be a valid use case, like spaces in general in folders isn't like, or special characters for that matter, isn't like something you really want to do in a system. Like I think like Unix is I forgot out of my head which one. Windows and Unix usually differ in uppercase, lowercase validation. One of the two doesn't recognizes the latter, and the other one does. So what Lawrence already said here is like you just use underscores for them. That probably would help. I can't rename the function. That's not the solution. I'd rather call this bypassing the problem. Yeah, no, I don't think so. Like, it's a fairly common like thing to do to actually have like readable characters in your folder name. I wouldn't actually call that bypassing the problem. In this case, it should be say broken documentation, build Laravel. Well, not really. I wouldn't say this is a documentation issue. Like, it's fairly general know-how that you shouldn't like do these kind of things. Like if we have to put every single know-how about how you handle these kind of problems in the Laravel documentation, like the documentation would just like not see the end of it. So let me see. Yeah, it's really spaces problem. Uh, even says like, look, I've made a mistake in the preference. It should be like one. I'm just like going to like reply to him like, yeah, this probably isn't like a real issue, but something you should rather avoid doing. So let me reply real quick to him here. So, and then I'm going to close this issue because it's probably not something we're going to support real soon. Okay, on to the next one. Let me see what I still have here. I'll do like a couple of more and then I'll close off because I think you already have like quite the idea like how things are going. Let's see here, name routes inside the main. So as I can see, like I'll also check like older issues. As you can see, like this is a very old one. It's from last year. So I'm just going to like quickly scan to what people said at the end. Okay, so this is basically someone just replying to that it works and help them out. So I'm just going to close this one again. This was posted 4 days ago, was closed already. I'm just not going to look at what it was, just going to see like, okay, it seems like Stoudemire, which is also have been a really big help, especially on the database issues in the framework. He already replied that it's caused by this, and he helped them out, and everything worked out. Okay, move to the next. Conditional attribute and API resources, blah, blah. Also 5.8 issue, which is a valid one, posted 4 days ago. Stoudemire's already helping him out here, I see. Let me really quickly see what's happening here. Should be included. Okay, so this is basically like a behavioral issue of how the API resources work. And Stoudemire already replied that like this just how PHP works and can't possibly prevent the evaluation. You have to use closure. Okay, so I remember what happens. So basically, what it's trying to do, like it's trying to use a direct static call here through the owner resource, and that of course gets executed immediately because that's how PHP works. And the way we solve this on resources is by providing a function call which will return the executed call, but at a later time, so it's not like immediately executed. So Stoudemire already replied that he needs to use closure. He said like, okay, so I can use that and no only once. And I think that's it for this issue. Like that already explains enough. So I'm just going to like close this because Stoudemire already replied to him. Next issue. So this is one, yeah, like like I said, like a lot of people tend to don't fill out the issue template. Actually, I think like this is just like a person asking for support. He probably didn't saw this thing here, and he just posted the issue, which is like okay, like I don't get mad about it or anything, but please try to read the stuff we have here. Like we it just like really takes up a lot of time if you have to like check in on this every single time. But yeah, he's basically just asking an issue. But already, Sifri, who's another really great help outside on the Laravel framework repository, he already replied that he can get help here. So he basically helped him out, and he's on his way. But he forgot to close the issue, so I'm just going to close the issue myself here. Okay, so that's basically it for this time. I'm already back on page 1, which is still like, let me see. Oh, there's again 262 issues. So yeah, like you can see, like in the meantime, while I closed all of those issues, other ones got opened again. So I'm back at 62. So I hope you can have an idea like how much work it is to maintain such a large project as this. I think I'm not sure how much time we're already in. Probably like quite a few, like half an hour or something. I don't know. Anyways, like I hope you got a basic understanding of which how much issues there are. I have to do every single day, and I still am trying to focus on other stuff like the new cashier release and other stuff we want to develop for the open source framework. I usually don't get around to feature requests. If you really want to get something into the framework, you're free to send a pull request for that because we probably don't have time to do that ourselves, especially when we're not using the features you're requesting ourselves. It's not interesting for us to work on that because we have all of this other stuff we need to focus on. So thanks for following along. This was rather long, but I hope you get. But it also like proves the point of like how much work this is. Feel free to hit me up on Twitter or on Discord and for some follow-up questions. At Driesvens on Twitter. Thanks for checking in. I hope this was useful. I hope you get a better understanding how it is to maintain an open source project. And yeah, I might do another run of these in a few weeks or months. I don't know. We'll see. Thanks. Bye.